guys don't need any persuading when it comes to the urgency of climate change. We adults are the ones who've been slow to come around to it and act on it. But through the leadership of people like the woman immediately to my right, as well as Senator Markey, who couldn't be here today, and so many others, America is getting to it. America is jumping headlong into solving the climate problem in a comprehensive way, and doing it not just with talk, not just with promises, but with actual action that is backed up by real money. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about congressional action, thanks to, again, the leadership of Senator Warren and others, President Biden, and its implementation. What we're talking about today is something very, very real, right? That's kind of why we have it sitting right here. So there's no mistaking. New Bedford has been a city that has prided itself on being at the forefront of cities nationally in combating the climate crisis. We like to brag about our fleet of electric vehicles that was once, just a few years ago, the largest in the state. I think we've been surpassed, but we're going to catch back up and get that lead again through the retrofitting of. You guys remember all the LED lights? Maybe you eighth graders don't remember, but all the street lights in the city and all the LED lighting in the city that was implemented a few years ago. Building envelopes, like right here in Roosevelt and so many other buildings that are energy efficient. We want to do it to save the city money, and to create jobs, but also to lower our carbon footprint. And that's what our climate action plan, and be resilient, directs us to do, to go carbon neutral by 2050. And again, those aren't just words, we mean it. And of course, it should go without saying, but it bears emphasizing that this was a big week for New Bedford. The first components of America's first commercial scale offshore wind project arrived in the port of New Bedford. In fact, if you would look down Frederick Street, Senator, you would have seen them pass. You can see the water. The boat would have passed right by there just 2 days ago, and that's a pretty cool thing. It's a historic event. It's a historic event, and it's just the start, and it's going to create a whole lot of jobs here in New Bedford, but it's also going to squarely put New Bedford in the lead when it comes to offshore wind, a industry that is going to have a huge impact on America's efforts to deal with our climate challenges. So we're very proud of what we do here, and it couldn't be done without the support of our state government. Governor Healy has gotten off to such a fantastic start, made climate her top priority, unmistakably. And it couldn't happen without the great support that we have in Washington, starting with President Biden and Vice President Harris, but also right here, make no mistake, Senator Warren has been a huge, huge champion of dealing in a comprehensive, thoughtful, and urgent way with our climate challenges, to make sure that we are consuming electricity in an efficient way, we're not wasting it, that we're deriving it from renewable sources, and that we're exploring new technologies that will enable us to put all of you guys and your kids on a much safer footing in the many years ahead. So, Senator, for all of your support of things like the Bipartisan Infrastructure Framework, the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, and so many other major pieces of legislation that just happened in the last 2 years. We thank you for that great support. We'll hear from you in one moment, but first I wanted to call up my good friend Dave Cash, who is the regional administrator for the Environmental Protection Agency. He's done a great job. We're so lucky to have him where he is. He's in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency, essentially in New England and the Northeast, and really gets this stuff well. And he's just such a great partner. And he will make the announcement after hearing my long wind-up. Dave.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Oh, what a gorgeous day to be here. And it's even especially wonderful to have the students here. Let's give it up for the students. Our future. our leaders in the future. It's so wonderful to be here today. Thank you so much, Mayor Mitchell and Principal Bosalt, for launching this. Of course, to Senator Warren, for all of your efforts in Washington. This is something that I tell every once in a while, but many, many, many years ago, when the senator had just become a senator, she was talking and got so in the detail about infrastructure. It was like in the weeds, why it's so important, and it was phenomenal because it's the backbone of this country. It what's put people to work. It what's make sure we can flip a switch and the lights go on, and that we can drive buses and it doesn't smell like diesel exhaust. And it's just phenomenal. So thank you so much for your leadership. The EPA, I love working at the EPA. I've been there for over a year, and to have folks working with us like Doug Gutrow and Joanne Cottrell, if you can give them a round of applause, they're here. And our states are such an important partner. We have Millie Garcia-Serrano is here. Thank you, Millie. Fantastic. So the announcement today is in response to a huge need, as the mayor said, to move this country forward into the clean energy future, to avoid further damage of climate change, to grow clean energy jobs that we're seeing here in New Bedford and all over New England and all over the nation. And it's here to address local air pollution as well. And we know that local air pollution doesn't hit evenly around the country. We know, for example, that black kids have asthma rates twice as high as white kids. We know that. And we know that emergency room for asthma attacks is higher in black and brown communities than in white communities. We know that. And so here we have the leadership, for example, of Mayor Mitchell, he's going for the win, 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 win. Not just a win-win, right? He's bringing New Bedford along to reduce local air pollution, to get us ready for climate change, to reduce the chance of climate change, to grow clean energy jobs. We are going to need folks with the expertise to maintain these kind of vehicles, although I'll say they'll need maintenance less than a fossil fuel vehicle does. And the savings that come from that can be plowed back into our schools, can be plowed back into curriculum, plowed back into kids. It's all such an important part of things linked together. And so what we're announcing today are two things. One that was announced before, but New Bedford competed really successfully last year and received of the $1 billion that Senator Warren and her colleagues in Congress gave to the EPA to get to communities. Of that $1 billion nationwide, $5.5 million came to New Bedford to get 14 electric school buses. And that takes a lot of work from the mayor, from his office, from Superintendent of Schools Thomas Anderson and his team. Thank you so much for working on that. Obviously, Senator Markey, represented by Jim Cantwell, is here. But the beneficiaries are going to be you, for the near term and you in the long term. And I know one of our speakers is Dr. Amelia Moneros to my left. And unfortunately, you're hopefully going to see a lot fewer. You're going to have a lot more time on your hands because a lot fewer kids are going to come with asthma attacks and asthma-related respiratory problems and the long-term climate impacts as well. So thank you so much for that. That's one announcement, though that's an old one. The new announcement is that we know, I think it was Senator Warren, you said when we were learning about the buses here, you said, I want more of them. And the mayor said, I want more of them. And we're going to get more of them. We've just launched the next round, $400 million nationwide, competitive again, trying to address the concerns in local school districts that need these buses, get dirty diesels off the street. That's what we're doing. So that's been announced. We're hoping to see a lot of competition in Massachusetts. And here's the thing. We were talking before about upfront costs, that these are more expensive than regular buses, right? There are fewer of them, new technology. But the whole point of this is to prime the pump. Let's get companies building these, getting communities using them, and the price will come down. Just like it did for solar, just like it did for wind, just like it does for batteries, on and on and on, so that we can be in a future where school districts in a couple of years, they're just deciding to buy electric school buses because not only are they better for everybody, but they're cheaper as well. So totally excited to be here today. Thank you for coming out and sharing this, and especially thank you to you.
before I introduce Senator Warren, I just wanted to draw everybody's attention to Dave's tie. Did you get a good look at this? Like, how many of us actually arrived here with a school bus tie, right? It's just, you know, you thought of everything, Dave.
They're electric, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, Dave, thank you for the partnership. I just wanted to say again just how grateful we are for our congressional support all around. I want to thank Congressman Keating, who couldn't be here today, Mike Jackman and Liz Roeder here on his behalf, and of course Senator Markey. You'll hear from Jim Cantwell in a second, but I want to give a special thanks to Senator Warren. So, Dave, you made a reference to the senators, that the senator does her homework. We witnessed that just moments ago when she was asking how much it costs, how much electricity is consumed by dollar for every trip, and then how does that compare with the cost of diesel and how much diesel is consumed during the week, right? All that stuff. You were working the numbers. Very impressed. She doesn't stop, but she's a tremendous example of a public official, an elected official who does her homework, who is in office not to just occupy the office, but to drive change that benefits everybody. And so it's just been wonderful to work with her over so many years. A great supporter of our great city, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell. So I'm here today to celebrate. I'm here to celebrate two things. The first I'm here to celebrate is EV school buses. Let's hear it for EV school buses. Yes. I am also here to celebrate the partnership that gets us those EV school buses. They don't happen on their own, and we have to work together to make it happen. So I'm very happy to be here with EPA Regional Administrator David Cash. I'm happy to be here with the Superintendent of Schools, Thomas Anderson, with Roosevelt Middle School Principal Dan Basalt, and with Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, Amelia Montero, and with Senator Markey's representative. I'm glad to be here with Jim as well, because it takes all of us to make this happen. I know the frustration that it feels like we're just not making progress. Indeed, every time we go back and look at what's happening on climate, the story is worse than we thought it was. The urgency is greater than we thought it was. We are nearer to catastrophe than we thought we were. But here's the good news. We actually have strong partnerships, and we are beginning to make the wheels turn in the right direction. Not enough, not fast enough, but we're trying to add. And every single time we get it to move in the right direction, we need to celebrate, because that's what increases the chances that we can move it further and faster tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And that's what this is all about. For too long, school buses have just been a source of pollution. They're ugly and they're nasty and they smell bad and they're bad for our health. They're bad for your health when you ride on them. Worse, when you stand outside and the school bus goes by while you're waiting for the second school bus or the third school bus. So our job is to get as many of the old school buses off, out, make them obsolete, and to bring in these new EV school buses. To bring in the buses that are going to be more helpful for you, to bring in the buses that are going to help us. It's going to be one more step in arresting the climate catastrophe that is bearing down on us, but it is also going to help us save money in long term, and that means more money that we can put back into our schools and put into education. So I fought hard for this historic investment. So did Senator Markey, so did Congressman Keating. That's what partnership is all about. It's about knowing where we need to be and being willing, not just to stand back and say, yeah, we need to do it. I'm totally on board for green. It's actually to step up and fight for it. And sometimes in Washington, even though it seems obvious to us that we need these changes, you really gotta get out there and be willing to fight. You gotta be willing to throw a punch for your future. And that's what this is all about. So I'm here to celebrate, and I said I'm here to celebrate two things. I really do have to say, though, I couldn't be here yesterday because I was doing a commencement speech. but dang, I hated missing. This is also an opportunity to celebrate just one more thing, and that is that the first piece has now arrived for offshore wind. And this is the tangible reminder that we're doing it right here in Massachusetts, right here in New Bedford, that we have this remarkable, historic, not just opportunity, but it's now in the works. Back to the point about the wheel turns. We are actually taking the steps to build offshore wind that will fundamentally change how we get energy on into the future. So it's 3 celebrations really today, and I can think of nothing better than to be in New Bedford to celebrate with all of you. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell.
All right, thank you, Senator. All right, so wanted to acknowledge, by the way, our good friend, State Representative Chris Hendricks, who's here with us today. Representative Tony Cabral couldn't be here, but his staff is representing him today as well. I also want to acknowledge Ward 6 Councilor Ryan Pereira, who's right over there. And next up is a guy who does an awful lot of work for our city on behalf of Senator Markey, and that's Jim Cantwell, the senator's district director, in other words, a statewide district director. And I just want to say, in his absence, that Senator Markey has been a real champion of all the things that we're talking about, and has been for a long, long time. And so we're grateful for his efforts and his consistency and his persistence. And so, Jim, make sure you tell him all that, all right? And but no, if he could be here today, he would. But in his place is our good friend Jim Cantwell. Jim.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. And on behalf of Senator Markey, I have the great honor to be the state director for Senator Markey, and equally to have an amazing partner, as he says time and again, Senator Warren. The two of them, who could have a better team than this environmental champion here and Senator Markey, who's the Green New Deal maker? Let's have a round of applause for both of them. And also, we have the great pleasure with Congressman Keating's office, because everything we do, there's a partnership that involves the House. And Mike Jackman, who is here, and Liz as well. You all have been amazing. It's a great pleasure to work with each and every one of you. Michael and I, by the way, for the 8th graders, Mike Jackman and I have known one another for decades. We said 8th grade was the best 5 years of our lives. So, Michael, it's great to see you again. Mayor Mitchell, thank you so very much for all of your work. By the way, David, when you were saying that it's the win, 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 I just have one correction. When it comes to the mayor, it's wind, wind, wind. Thank you for all the amazing work that you do. And your entire EPA team. There'll be a few. Yeah. All the members of the city council who are here. It's a pleasure to always see you. The school committee as well. And our state delegation, Chris Hendricks, with whom I served at the State House, along with Mark Montigny before he went to the House of Lords, and Tony Cabral, Bill Strauss, Chris Markey, Paul Schmidt. We're so lucky. But mostly we're here to thank you students. How about a big round of applause for our 8th grade students who are doing an amazing job here at the school. Across the Commonwealth, I'm here to read a statement from Senator Markey, and he's saying, across the Commonwealth, Massachusetts has won nearly $30 million to begin electrifying our school bus fleet. By the way, out of $30 million, we heard $5 million coming here, by the way. Not bad for the audience. So that we can be doing more learning and less fossil fuel burning. With the next round of funding opening, even more Massachusetts communities will be able to access millions for school buses. That's a lot of green to go green. In terms of lowering emissions, Senator Markey says putting one new electric bus on the road, Senator, you just were talking about this, is equivalent to taking 2.5 diesel buses off the road. Electric school buses are also cutting down on air pollution. Air pollution is like second-hand smoke. Our children don't cause it, but their health is most at risk if we refuse to end our addiction to fossil fuels. Air pollution from diesel engines is 4 to 10 times dirtier inside a school bus than outside. A bus ride to school should be filled with laughter, not with pollution. Because electric buses aren't just the future, they're working for us right now. And right now, because of the great work of Senator Warren, Congressman Keating, Senator Markey, we have the funding to invest in them. Senator Markey is finishing by saying, we know students' future is tied so much to more than what happens in the corners of this amazing school. And I had the opportunity, Principal Dan Bosso, to talk to you this morning, and as well, Superintendent Thomas Anderson. You all do an amazing job here. Thank you so much. On Wednesday, by the way, the first wind turbine components arrived in the Port of New Bedford, which we've heard. Just like the Portuguese immigrants who braved the North Atlantic to travel to New Bedford for a better life, the wind turbines also made their way from Portuguese shores. Once again, New Bedford will lead the nation in lighting the nation. Promoting renewable energy, providing access to clean air and water, and advancing the mean, green new school buses is an investment in our future, and our kids are our future. Senator Markey ends by saying, New Bedford has stood up to say, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Thank you all so very much for being here today, and thank you for the amazing work of this school.
Well done, Jim. Nice job. All right. Thank you, Jim. Tell the senator we said thank you. So I wanted to, this being a school bus, of course, this being the school department, you guys being students, we need to make sure that our superintendent said a word or two today, because he has led on all this and deserves tremendous credit. I mean, he wanted to make sure that the school buses that you guys ride in are riding on the cleanest stuff available. And this is one other area where Superintendent Anderson has made a real difference in our school district during his the last 5 years here. And so, without any further ado, Thomas Anderson.
Good afternoon. So this is a great day. You have beautiful weather out here. I know as students and as 8th graders, I know in your mind you're still thinking, why am I still standing out here? But the whole thing is this is about you. And with Senator Warren, Mayor Mitchell, all of our other elected officials that are here today in this process to make sure that everything we do is student-centered. And of course, in my role as superintendent, and then also with Mr. Basalt and all of our other administrators, throughout the city, the biggest thing is how are we going to continue to educate our students so that way you understand what your role is, what your obligation is to helping to protect the environment. And as we think about the curriculum and those other type of things to make sure you're prepared to have those jobs in the future that are very meaningful and you're making a real positive contribution to your futures now, as you're going to get to learn a little bit more. I know today is May 26th, and you're in 8th grade, and you're probably already thinking what's going to be happening in about 3 weeks. I get it. So as you get a chance to process and thanking our teachers and other staff that are here who continue to emphasize those points to you about this is the world that we live in, this is your world. We can't just keep saying and talking about it. And I think both our mayor and the senator mentioned about taking action and really being invested in what's here. Bedford is a great place, it's a great opportunity, and you're here now and you're the benefit of all of the hard work, the investment of time, resources, and energy to make sure that things continue to progress. So I really just want to express my appreciation on behalf of our entire school system, our school committee members, those who aren't here today, and the other members of our entire team, that we definitely appreciate the opportunity to benefit from the senator's efforts and for the mayor's commitment to continue to enhance the life in the city of New Bedford. So thank you very much.
So before I introduce our last speaker, I just wanted to say thanks to a handful of folks. Kevin DeVivo, the general manager of DeVivo Bus Sales, who are the purveyors of the EV buses. I think you guys are going to be making some good money in the next few years, and we're pleased to do, pleased to do business with you. You deserve it. Dayana Amaral, who's representing DeVivo Bus Sales. Say, where are you? Are you here? Yeah. There you are. Thank you. I want to thank Shelley Correa, the general manager of Whaling City Transit. Is Shelley here? Oh, there you are. I think you guys all stand back over there. Thank you. Thank you. And I also wanted to, thank Cheryl Bartlett, our good friend from the Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, right up front, right here. Former state public health commissioner and somebody who is just a terrific partner with us on so many public health fronts, and who did battle side by side during that pandemic, which is kind of in the rearview mirror now, we hope. But Cheryl, great. I really appreciate your support. And, apropos to that is our next speaker, someone who I've known for a long time because she's my neighbor. But Mimi Montero is just a fantastic physician, and she specializes. She's a pediatrician, but deals, as was alluded to earlier, with pediatric pulmonary issues like asthma. And so here we are in a city with school buses, with other sources of air pollution. And so if you're in a city, it's hard to get away from it, right? It's all around, and it's hard to avoid just by dint of the built environment and just everything being close to one another. And so doing things like electrifying buses and other vehicles helps, and over time, as things build, it will make a difference, and she's about to tell you why. Maybe.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to be here, sharing this time with you, and all of this exciting news about how we're trying to make our community and our world better and safer and healthier for generations to come. As has been said, I am a pediatrician here in New Bedford. Some of you may even be patients over at the health center. So we are very fortunate to be able to be deeply rooted and connected in our community. And as a resident here, as a parent, as a physician who sees other people's children, I recognize the importance of what it takes to help protect and care for our children. Asthma is something that we see regularly on a daily basis. Hopefully, over the years, we'll be able to continue to make strides in how we can best control our children's asthma and even avoid having some of it develop. We see a lot of young people who are suffering from the impacts of environmental pollution and things that they didn't create for themselves that other generations have handed down to them. And so I'm really happy that at this time, we're able to take additional steps to help protect the health of our children and future generations moving forward. On a daily basis, we're seeing our kids with asthma, our kids with illnesses that are caused by environmental pollution, who are having to take time out of school, who are being sent home from school because they're not well enough to be there and be productive learners. And this is affecting their progress towards things like 8th grade graduation and wonderful other events that we want them to be able to attend as they grow and thrive. So I'm really thrilled to hear that we're taking these measures to make our school buses and our communities a lot more efficient, helpful, and healthier for our children, and also by proxy, taking care of our families as well, because we know that when our children are sick and we can't take care of them in the school setting, their parents are having to stay home. They're losing out on time to work, and it's affecting the families and the greater community in that way. So I'm so very thankful to be able to participate in this activity and this event, which is looking forward to a healthier future for our kids, because they are our future and it's so important for all of us.
All right, once again, I just want to thank Senator Warren and Senator Markey for their great efforts. And Dave, all that you do. You heard it here. Dave promises more buses, right? That's the way I heard it.
I heard that.
Yeah. But thanks, everybody. We'll open it up for questions. I don't know if you have any, Matt or anybody else. Going once? Going twice?